All right, so today we're diving into something a little different. We talk a lot about the day-to-day of running a restaurant, but this one's about the future, like way down the line.
Yeah, long game.
Exactly. We're looking at food education for teenagers, and our main source for this deep dive is Maurice. He's a hospitality professional and really knows his stuff when it comes to food and beverage.
And he's got some pretty thought-provoking ideas about well, how we as an industry can actually play a pretty big role in this whole thing.
Right. And at first glance you might be thinking like, "Okay, teenagers, what's that got to do with me?" But Maurice makes a really good point. He sees it as this kind of team effort, family, schools, the media, all that, but he really emphasizes the role of the hospitality industry, like
That's the
us.
catering pros.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
we're all contributing to this big, I don't know, like elaborate recipe or something.
Okay, I like that. An elaborate recipe. So one of the first things that Maurice brings up is this idea of learning by doing. And he gives this example of a program in France, the Art de faire culinaire au collège, where teenagers actually get to cook with chefs. It's hands-on.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about it. I mean, it's not just like reading about food or whatever. They're in the kitchen, they're getting their hands dirty. It's like real life experience.
So thinking about that, like what kind of possibilities does that spark for restaurant owners listening?
Well, I mean, the first thing that pops into my head is partnerships, right? Like, could you imagine teaming up with a local school, maybe offering some workshops, or even like mentorship opportunities for kids who are interested in food?
I mean, that'd be huge, right? To kind of demystify the whole restaurant kitchen thing for young people.
Totally.
Okay, so another thing that Maurice talks about is this challenge that young people face. They're bombarded with all this marketing for the not so healthy stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's everywhere you look.
Right. So Maurice, he's got some suggestions for how we can counter that a bit. He talks about making nutritional information really clear on menus. Like no more fine print, just straightforward and easy to understand.
And I think that's something that, honestly, a lot of customers would appreciate.
Totally. And then he also mentions like maybe organizing some workshops on how to read food labels, but like make it fun, interactive,
Yeah.
not just a boring lecture.
Right, exactly. Make it engaging. And, he even points out that some fast food chains are actually starting to offer healthier options and being more transparent about their ingredients. So things are like slowly changing.
It's actually really encouraging to hear. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting for me. Maurice, he's adamant that cooking and eating well, they're not like some kind of magical talent you're born with. They're skills. You can learn them.
100%.
Yeah.
And he actually points to this program in France, the AFCC that we were talking about earlier.
Mm.
It's proof that, like, with the right guidance, teenagers can become really confident cooks.
Right. And I mean, that's so powerful. So thinking practically, how can we, like as an industry, help foster those skills?
Yeah. Well, Maurice has some pretty cool ideas. Like, what about workshops where teenagers actually get to prepare a meal, something fun, like a pizza making class or, I don't know, learning to make healthy snacks.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And he also talks about, like, maybe creating takeaway cooking kits, with simple instructions so they can take what they've learned and practice at home.
So smart.
Yeah, it's like extending the reach of your restaurant beyond its walls.
Okay, so we can't forget about social media, right? I mean, it's where young people spend so much of their time these days. And Marie sees this as a huge opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Like Instagram, TikTok, all of that. He thinks we can use those platforms to actually promote healthy habits. Maybe through cooking challenges, collaborations with food influencers, things like that.
And I think that's so key, right? Because you're meeting them where they are.
Exactly. And it's not just about, like, lecturing them about eating their vegetables. It's about making healthy food culture visible
Yeah.
and, like, making it cool.
Okay, now this is a point that Maurice brings up that I think is so crucial. Inclusivity. How do we make sure that food education is reaching everyone, regardless of like their family's budget or their existing cooking skills?
Yeah, that's really important if we're talking about long-term impact. And Maurice had some ideas here too, like offering free workshops, maybe community cooking programs.
So like bringing people together.
Exactly. And he also highlights the success of programs like the AFCC in France, where they actually encourage families to get involved. And it makes sense, right? If the whole family is on board, it reinforces those healthy habits.
So, I mean, just to kind of wrap up Maurice's core message here, I think it's that, we, the hospitality industry, we have this really powerful opportunity. We can contribute to food education. We can help shape not just like today's diners, but the informed and appreciative customers of tomorrow.
Absolutely. And for restaurant owners and professionals, I think the benefits are, well, they're pretty clear. A generation that understands nutrition, that values good food, they're more likely to become your loyal customers down the line.
Right. And it doesn't have to be some massive, expensive undertaking. Maurice points out that even something small, like a chef volunteering at a local school or a restaurant hosting a one-time, healthy cooking demo, that can make a difference. It can have a ripple effect.
So, to leave you with a final thought, considering everything we've talked about today, all of Maurice's insights, what's one small but tangible step that your establishment could take to engage with food education for young people in your community? It's a big question, but I think this deep dive really shines a light on the broader influence that our industry has and maybe encourages us all to think about our role in shaping the next generation's food culture.
And that's something we're thinking about.